We are going to look at how to prepare data for our regression analysis. So most of the times we understand what is regression, but when we try to do in MATLAB, it becomes a lot of trouble for us. So we'll look at what are the troubles that we can face while we run a regression analysis. Now, some of the trouble that we face while we run the regression analysis is about data importing, and I've been talking that you don't need to memorize the formulas or the commands. You need to just understand the type of problems and why they come up while we do some things. So if you look at MATLAB and how it's going to play with things, you have MATLAB in a matrix format, the grid lines same as Excel. So you have to place the values in those grid lines, and different variables could be, or different metrics could be seen as different sheets of Excel where we have them. Suppose you want to learn a time series analysis, or you want to run a regression analysis. So the first problem that you get is to import the data from CSV. We talked about this into our data import video, but I'm going to quickly go through. When you import CSV, sometimes CSV has a string which creates trouble while you read it in MATLAB, and that's the reason you have to read it as a string and then break down on a fixed width idea. It's same as deciding the width of the entry and not using it as comma separated. We looked around at some alternative of VLOOKUPs and this problem earlier. So we decided that we are going to use XLS read to read some of the things. So while using the XLS read, it's better than the delimiter read or the CSV read because it gives you more advanced options. So we converted some of the things into Excel format and read them. So if CSV does not work, we opened the CSV, converted it into Excel, and that imported it. That helped us to get the data types because XLS file or Excel would already give the data types, and we would not have that problem that some of the numbers are coming in as strings. So importing data and importing text and converting them to one another is one trouble that we face while we do with CSV. So we decided to use XLS read. We imported data num text row using the XLS read, and now we are good. Some of the problems that comes is that there might be empty cells in Excel when you import them in the MATLAB. Those empty cells might give you trouble because those are like empty cell matrix in a way. So those you should get out of those cells or those trouble by using the cell function. It would just remove things and give you, and then if you want to convert the things into number, then you'll use the date num format. So MATLAB has a date format, and like Excel, it's stored at backend in a numeric format, so you have to do that. The indexing that we talked about in class 2 and class 3, we can pick out the rows and the columns that we need. Once we are done, we can use the financial time series to get this data into a financial time series object. We can do that by finds command. So finds command would help us to bring all the data. Now there is a trouble here sometimes. Sometimes the data is into cell format because when you bring it from Excel, those are cell. We'll look what cell arrays are, but if you remember cell arrays, it's like an array made up of an array. So a cell which is in fact in itself an array, and we cannot perform plus on that because if it's a cell array, it's an array of an array, you cannot do that. So we'll use cell to matrix, the command written on the second last line here, and we would do that. So if regression does not work, we are facing trouble. What could be the problem? A problem is that some of the inputs are not numeric, so we'll use is numeric format. Another problem is that the argument type is of cell, so we'll use the cell to matrix, and once everything is done, we can use to get the slope. So these are the troubles that we can face. Okay, now let's look at the regression analysis in this video. We'll try to regress the prices of Amazon with S&P for the last 1 year. So let me quickly show you what I did. So I downloaded the price of Amazon in a CSV format, and I downloaded the prices till say 11th September 2015, and This is what I got from nasdaq.com. Now I placed the stock price and the Nifty price both in the same sheet, and I calculated the slope, which is the sensitivity on how the Amazon price is going to move if there is a movement in S&P, and I did the same task to find out the intercept. So this is what I did. I used the proxy index for S&P, so it's the reason why it's not the same. Okay. Now we are going to learn how to do the same analysis in MATLAB, and we are going to see a few commands in MATLAB that we can do that. I'll also quickly go over the problems that we might face while reaching here. So few problems that we might face, as we talked about, was the data issues, like data is in cell format, data is in string format. While importing things does not work, the file is in CSV, you have to convert that into Excel and so on. So we did this in the data handling classes earlier. Let's look at the regression command now. So the first regression command I have is regress. This would just give you the slope or the beta or the sensitivity. So since most of the trouble is already done, we can directly use this command. Now always use the variable editor to keep it on top, because then you can select and run something. So when I say variate selection, I get the XB, which is the slope. We can quickly check this XB from here. It's nearly the same. Sometimes there is a small difference because of the method. Now remember this trouble when you run regression between Excel and MATLAB is that I guess MATLAB uses the metric inversion method, while the Excel uses the optimization method, where it uses hit and trial method to minimize the error. So that is one reason you might get wrong answers or a little different answers here. So MATLAB is more accurate because it uses the best theoretical approach to find out the slope. So that's how we can find the regression. If you look above, there was some trouble while reaching here, like the things that I imported was in cell format and so on. So we'll get the slope and we can check it with Excel. Now there is the next command that I'm going to use. It's you can use CLC to clean the screen, if you remember, just a revision. The next command that you can use is stat. So you can get the various statistics to get the data. This is equivalent to linest command in the MATLAB. So stat is equivalent to, this is same as linest command in Excel. So this stat would give me the statistical detail. Now let's try to understand how we can use this to our benefit. So all of these variables are stored on the northeast side of your screen. So I'm just double clicking on stat and I got the stat. So this is the source, this is the size of the array, the minimum maximum, the R, the value of R, the value of beta, the value of R square, how good of it is. So it's 21% adjusted R square, and a lot of things that you want to do. So the Durbin-Watson test is sometimes that what we need, and minimum value of the Durbin-Watson test, and we'll look at what Durbin-Watson test is. So in this way you can get the values. Now let me close this. So I've put editor here because I want to save these things for my perusal, maybe later. If you want to suppress the output, if you remember, just a quick revision, you'll use the semicolon and the output would be suppressed. So you can read only the warnings and not the other trouble. Now if this does not work, what to do? If this does not work, you need to go back and check if the input arguments are numeric. You'll do that by is numeric. If it's not numeric, it could be cell or it could be string. Then you need to check if it's a cell or if it's a string. If it's a string, then you'll use string to a numeric command in MATLAB. If it's a cell means that it itself is a matrix. So you need to get its first element. So this cell to matrix will convert the first element of that cell into a single element. So you can convert cell to matrix, and if everything is numeric, then you can go ahead and run your command. And the same goes for financial time series. If it's if the dates are not dates, you can check whether it's dates or not. You can check whether it's numeric or not, and when you'll use the TS object. So this is how about we'll use the regression and the troubles that you might face. So I'm starting with the troubles that you might face because the examples on MATLAB are like very easy. They already give you the data, and the trouble starts with the data. So that's why half of the course is devoted towards handling of data. Okay, I hope this was useful for you. Thank you for watching. We just calculated the regression and the slope, and we checked whether it's same. Let me show you the slope here. So the slope, if I want to go, I'll go to stats, and here is the slope 0.002. Here is the slope 0.002. So we calculated the slope, and we calculated the other parameters that we need.